Welcome back into another episode of Bucko Booth, everybody. My name is Benson Fector, and I'll be the host of your show today. The last we talked was 2 weeks ago. Last weekend, I was at Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, for a retreat. It was great, but since the last time we talked, it has not been great for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Last we talked, it was all optimistic. We believed that, hey, this team was capable. This team had the schedule. They had the pieces to go out there in the second half, make a run, and make a playoff spot. Since then, all hell has broken loose, and the Pittsburgh Pirates have fallen out of contention and are now going to be looking to sell at the trade deadline. Let's do our weekly recap. So our last win, and on Saturday, was against the Phillies. They won Game 2 of that series 5-1 on the celebration of the 1979 World Series. And then the 6-game losing streak began. Sunday, Phillies, a 2-1 loss. On Monday, they opened up the series with the Cardinals at home, a 6-5 loss. Tuesday, a 4-3 loss. Wednesday, 14-8. Thursday, 6-3, and last night, another 6-3 loss. Overall, a very poor week for the Pirates, and it's been a very poor second half as that, and just been bad baseball, really, since the last time we talked. In regards to transactions made this week, on Monday, the Pirates signed free agent right-handed pitcher Darvin Garcia to a minor league contract. On Tuesday, they activated right-handed pitcher Keone Kela from the 60-day injured list, but suspended him for 2 games for violation of the Uniform Players contract. There are reports that it was because he blew up on a clubhouse staffer. However, Kela denies those reports. On Wednesday, the Pirates transferred catcher Francisco Cervelli from the 10-day injured list to the 60-day injured list with his concussion. Activated Keone Kela from his suspension, and placed right-handed pitcher Clay Holmes on the 10-day injured list with right triceps inflammation. And on Thursday, the Pirates optioned right-handed pitcher Luis Escobar and recalled right-handed pitcher Alex McRae from Indy. Yeah, so let's get into our weekly awards. Player of the week goes to Starling Marte, a .433 average this week, 13 for 30, a home run, and 8 RBIs. And really, this entire second half, Starling Marte has been really one of the only bright spots of this team, and he has been absolutely raking, absolutely mashing. He is really starting to turn himself into the player that Pirates fans have always expected, always dreamed of, and he is turning himself into that player. Unfortunately, it's not going to matter in 2019 in terms of a playoff run, but if he can take this Starling Marte and turn that into a similar, if not better, campaign in 2020, the Pirates are going to be all the much better for it. Pitcher of the week goes to Felipe Vasquez in 3 innings, 3 games, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Good for a 0 ERA and a .33 whip. Felipe Vasquez continues to impress, and yeah, I mean, what more can you say about the best closer in baseball? Because that's what Felipe Vasquez is, and unfortunately, he's not been given many opportunities to go out there and close games, and he most likely will not be given those opportunities down the stretch as the Pirates are going to be looking to give younger guys opportunities, potentially, lose some games, get that higher draft pick. But in 2020, Felipe Vasquez, if he is still around, he's going to be closing out playoff games in the future for this team, and he's absolutely dominant. I mean, there's not much more to say for you to say about the nightmare Felipe Vasquez. Rookie of the week goes to Brian Reynolds, a .208 average. He was 5 for 24, 3 RBIs. A bit of a down week for the rookie tandem of Brian Reynolds and Kevin Newman. But Brian Reynolds had the best week of them all. And the thing is with Brian Reynolds, yes, he is in a slump. But if you look at what his slump is and the at-bats that he's putting up, he was tied for the most quality at-bats on the team this week with Adam Frazier. So even though he is going through the slump, only 5 hits in his last 24 at-bats, a .208 batting average, he's still driving in 3 runs in those 5 hits, and he is still putting up a quality at-bat percentage. 15 out of his 24 at-bats were quality at-bats. So even though he's not getting hits like he was in the past, and he will bounce out of this slump, he still goes up there and he gives the team quality at-bat after quality at-bat, and that's all you can ever ask for, especially out of a rookie. Very excited to see what the rest of 2019 holds for Brian Reynolds. Glove of the week goes to Adam Frazier. 22 total chances, 12 assists, 10 putouts, 2 double plays, no errors, so 100% fielding wise. And we have talked at length about Adam Frazier and how he has bounced around the field, playing in left, right, third, short, second base, you name it, he played it before he finally settled down in the second half of last season as the Pirates' everyday second baseman. And now that he is an everyday second baseman, his glove is improving with it. His bat is back to the point where where we expected it to be. And in all honesty, he has been, I believe, the second best player on this Pirates team in 2019 outside of Josh Bell with the bat. And with the glove, he has been fantastic as well. He's not going to make the super rangy plays flashy, but he is going to be a steady force out there and be the guy that you can count on to make the plays at second base. All right, let's move on from that. With the deficit growing between the Pittsburgh Pirates and a playoff spot, all signs point towards the front office selling at this year's trade deadline. The idea of a team selling at the trade deadline can be a difficult pill to swallow for any fan base. And for a franchise, the decision to wave the white flag with 60 games left to play, being 10 games back in the division, and a wild card spot is never easy. However, with this year being the first year in which the July 31st trade deadline is now the only trade deadline, with the MLB getting rid of the August 31st waiver deadline, the Pirates front office is forced to make a choice within the next week to sell, buy, or stand pat on the trade market. At the All-Star break, the Pirates were in position to potentially add a couple pieces that could at least marginally help push this team closer to a playoff spot. However, after dropping 11 out of 14 since the Midsummer Classic, the writing on the wall suggests that this team isn't ready to compete, not without some major reinforcements. Sure, going out and adding players like Marcus Stroman and Madison Bumgarner or Will Smith could exponentially improve this team. But since general manager Neil Huntington made a big splash with the last-minute Chris Archer trade last year, it's highly unlikely that he takes another big risk like that and further deplete the minor league system, especially with the team on a cold streak and unlikely to climb back into the playoff race. With all that being said, the most likely course of action is to sell at the deadline in some capacity. What is that capacity? Who knows? It depends how strong the front office feels about the core of this team. Let's evaluate the likelihood of potential trade pieces before that could be traded prior to the deadline. First, left-handed pitcher Felipe Vasquez. Two-time All-Star closer Felipe Vasquez has been the only consistently comforting presence in an otherwise unstable bullpen. The 28-year-old has a 1.87 ERA in 40 appearances, recording 21 saves and 68 strikeouts over 43 and a third innings pitched. With contenders all around the league always looking for back-end bullpen help at this time of the year, Vasquez could bring in a significant haul. After this year, Vasquez is set to make $13.5 million between 2020 to 2021 with two team options for 2022 and 2023, each at $10 million. Overall, that's potentially $33.5 million across 4 years, a very good value for an elite closer in his late 20s. As reported by Adam Berry, Huntington has no plans to trade Vasquez, stating, "We fully anticipate Felipe will be close in the next playoff games we're a part of." That's a pretty strong statement, but I wouldn't fully count out the possibility of Vasquez getting dealt, especially if Huntington is offered a king's ransom. Potential destinations: Los Angeles Dodgers, Atlanta, St. Louis. My verdict, though, it is highly unlikely. Trade candidate number 2, outfielder Melky Cabrera. Signed in free agency on a minor league contract, Melky Cabrera has been worth every single penny for the Pirates thus far. Entering play on Friday, in 83 games, the veteran outfielder has hit .305 with 14 doubles, 6 home runs, and 34 RBIs over 256 at-bats. With the injuries to Gregory Polanco and Corey Dickerson, Cabrera has been able to find consistent playing time, manning mostly right field and some left field in his 14th season as a big leaguer. A free agent at the end of the year, Cabrera is almost sure to walk and play elsewhere if the Pirates hold on to him through the deadline, as the outfield is crowded enough with Dickerson, Polanco, Starling Marte, and Bryan Reynolds all a part of the current fold. The wise move would be to trade Cabrera for whatever deal is out there. A mid-30s outfielder that's better suited in a DH role will not command much of a market, but for a contending team looking for depth, a switch-hitting veteran with a proven ability to hit for average will draw at least a couple of suitors. Potential destinations: Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and Oakland. My verdict is that trade is likely. Trade candidate number 3, left-handed pitcher Francisco Liriano. Like Cabrera, a 14-year veteran, Francisco Liriano came aboard on a minor league contract prior to this year. Believed to be competing for a rotation spot at first, the 35-year-old left-hander wound up in a bullpen role, one that he has found relative success in to this point. In 47 games out of the bullpen, Liriano's logged 49 innings, leads the Pirate relievers, striking out 46 batters to go along with a 3.12 ERA. A starter for practically his whole career, Liriano has made a smoother transition than some may have anticipated into the bullpen, providing some stability ahead of Vasquez. The obvious move is to trade Liriano to any contender looking for inexpensive bullpen help, for which there will be many. He won't garner a great haul as he's a pending free agent and a 35-year-old reliever, but teams desperate for bullpen arms could end up overpaying. Potential destinations: Boston, Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. My verdict on that is highly likely. Trade candidate number 4, outfielder Corey Dickerson. Perhaps the most challenging decision that the front office is faced with is whether or not to trade Corey Dickerson. After getting hurt early in the year, the Pirates gave rookie Bryan Reynolds a chance, and he ran with it, hitting over .328 with a .895 OPS entering play on Friday. As a result, Dickerson, who was a prime candidate to be extended following a stellar season last year, suddenly becomes expendable with Reynolds, Marte, and Polanco all seemingly capable of playing every day when healthy. With Dickerson set to become a free agent, he could be the odd man out if the Pirates decided to clench their wallet like last offseason. Despite the crowded outfield and the injury, Dickerson has put together an impressive .303 average, .365 OBP, .500 slugging in his 38 games played so far, in large part due to his last 7 games in which he's hitting .455 with a 1,210 OPS. There would certainly be a market for Dickerson if the Pirates decide to shop him. However, with Polanco hitting the IL 6 times in the last 3 years, and Reynolds having just 268 career at-bats, the Pirates may opt to extend Dickerson anyway for depth, although that seems unlikely. Marte also has 2 team options for the next couple of seasons at $11.5 million and $12.5 million, with buyouts of $2 million and $1 million respectively. So, hypothetically, the Pirates could buy out Marte and use that money to extend Dickerson instead, but that may be too far-fetched. The Dickerson situation became murkier last night. Following his second at-bat, he exited the game with left groin discomfort. If he is injured, any chance of trading him is shot. Potential destinations: Oakland, Cleveland, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. My verdict is somewhat likely depending on the health. So the 4 trade candidates again: Felipe Vasquez, Francisco Liriano, Melky Cabrera, and Corey Dickerson. The post-break woes of the Pittsburgh Pirates followed the team to New York on Friday night. A black cloud continues to follow the Pittsburgh Pirates around since the MLB All-Star break. Entering play on Friday night, the Pirates were a miserable 2-10 since the break, ending any hopes they had of contending down the stretch. After losing 6-3 in their series opener against the New York Mets on Friday night, the Pirates are now 2-12 since the break. This drops the Bucs to 46-57 on the season. It was the Pirates that drew blood first on Friday night, facing Mets trade bait Zach Wheeler. Josh Bell singled to start the second inning and went to third base on a Bryan Reynolds single. Colin Moran then drove in Bell with a single that could have been ruled an error on Met shortstop Ahmed Rosario, but regardless, the Pirates led 1-0. With 2 men on and no outs, the Pirates looked primed to add to their lead. However, Wheeler pitched out of it. Wheeler struck out Jung Ho Gong and then got groundouts from Elias Diaz and his mound counterpart Dario Agrizal to end the inning. The Pirates were able to get Wheeler again in the 6th inning. A 2-run home run by Adam Frazier and a 1-out single by Bell ended Wheeler's night. In his first start back from the injury list, Wheeler allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, no walks, the Frazier home run, and 7 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings of work. As for Agrizal, his night started strong. He retired the first 7 batters he faced.